Nationally in Japan, the average number of unexplained deaths and missing persons exceeds 10,000 annually. The majority are the result of negative energy that flows out of people, the result of curses. Curses take the shape of people's deepest despair or sorrows. The traumatic feelings that exude from people around the world drift together to create beings called curses, that take the shape of this negative energy and bring life to the despair of the world. These curses amass and eliminate humans unlucky enough to wander into their path. Due to the nature of curses, many of them are unique. The stronger the despair or negative energy, the stronger the curse. Jujutsu Society ranks these curses depending on their danger on grades of 4 to special. The most dangerous curses to all of society are those of the special grade class. Those built of such strong negative emotions, they are uniquely crafted into their own personality or likeness, able to differentiate from other curses with their overwhelming power or intelligence. Throughout the series of Jujutsu Kaisen, we are informed some of the largest societal myths or urban legends are actual curses, based on the amount of the population that believes in these spirits, as well as the amount of negative energy possibly focused in around the idea of the spirit, and what they may represent themselves as. It is no surprise then, of course, that the group of curses that create the biggest threat to our Jujutsu Society as of late would be those shaped from the natural disasters and tragedies of the world and the haunting fear they bring out of the entire population. The disaster curses represent some of the largest fears of man, and it coincides that they would also be some of the strongest curses as well. The curse of the land, and the danger that can be wrought from earthquakes and volcanoes. The curse of nature, representing the foreshadowed wrath of Mother Nature, and the revenge she begs for as the earth is constantly wrought in environmental hazard. The curse of the sea, a peaceful, calm abyss that has the capacity to bring the entire planet to its knees if it ever steps out of its comfort. And the worst curse of all, the curse of humanity itself and the hatred that they hold deep in their guts for each other. It is truly unfortunate that these curses, of all curses, were born and able to find like-minded goals within each other. The disaster curses represent a level of special grade unseen before in Jujutsu Society. Because of their unique strength, I want to take the family of disaster curses and rank them in order of presence, strength, and potential. We'll analyze all of their advantages, their weaknesses, and put an accurate picture together of scale between the tragedies of the Earth itself. Starting this list off, in 4th place we have Hanami, the cursed spirit of the Earth and nature itself. Stated by Gojo to be close in nature to a natural spirit, while still maintaining a curse-like aura, Hanami represents the woes and despairs of the planet, the plant life of the Earth, and also all of the humans that fear things like climate change affecting the world in some way. And with the way the world has been treated over the last couple thousands of years, it's no surprise that the amount of destruction and devastation throughout nature would conjure a curse that would attain the grade of special. Being a disaster curse who probably represents a much larger scope of despair throughout the world, it's ironic that Hanami would be the weakest out of all the disaster curses. However, this does not by any means imply that Hanami is weak. Well deserving of the grade of special, Hanami displays massive superiority over a special grade curse like the Finger Bearer through obvious features like its intelligence or capability of speech with humans. Despite that communication being mainly through a unique language that is instead a telepathic frequency that instills its words in the people it's talking to's head, this is not the only reason Hanami and the other disaster curses are on a completely different level from other curses. One major factor that gives Hanami a leg up is its impressive durability. Throughout its first encounter with the Jujutsu High students, for a majority of the fight, most of the students can't even manage to land a proper attack on Hanami. Kamo Noritoshi, Inumaki, even Maki before she starts using Playful Cloud, all fail in actually damaging Hanami and piercing its thick skin that surrounds its main body. Hanami's durability allow it to survive even powerful attacks like Black Flash, a long and thorough beating from strong attackers like Yuji and Todo, and even Inumaki's curse technique used on repeated attempts. Being the curse of nature, Hanami's main techniques revolve around the usage of branches or roots in attempts to pierce or slash at opponents. Being able to create entire forests out of the land it is able to conjure, or use this technique minimally and precisely in attempts to accurately pierce any weak points an opponent may have. Hanami has developed offsets of this technique to create more opportunities for victory, such as the Cursed Bud technique, being able to worm into a sorcerer like a parasite and absorb their cursed energy until they dry up completely and perish. Something that follows the more natural spirit side of Hanami is something like Flower Field. being able to eliminate any tension or fighting spirits in the air with aroma manipulation and leave enemies wide open and vulnerable until they can snap themselves out of the funk. Despite Hanami's intense arsenal of capabilities, what puts it last on this list is just how small in comparison Hanami stands next to the other disaster curses on the list. A reason Hanami falls short is mainly due to the flaws that are not present in the other curses in this list. One of those major weaknesses being Hanami's lack of combat sense or experience. Hanami's first major fight is during the exchange event with Todo and Yuji, really coming into its own and discovering its flow on the fly during this fight, and really the only reason Hanami is able to get this practice in is due to the fact Hanami is fighting students. This is easily shown when faced with Gojo. Hanami's inexperience immediately rears its head, compromising the group's plan of using domain amplification to keep Gojo unable to use Limitless, taking the very first opening that is presented to it without any second thought. This is also paired with the cold hard reality of the fact that Hanami literally wears a major weak point on its face. Hanami presents a massive threat to most grade 1 sorcerers, but lacks the overall experience and combat ability to properly present its power to the fullest extent. The worst injustice to Hanami being we never see its domain expansion, meaning Hanami's full power will never be known. But personally, I don't think the domain expansion would change this ranking video by any means, even if we did see it. Had Hanami been up against a duo of more seasoned sorcerers, your Nanamis, your Naoyas, Hanami stands no chance learning the lay of the land mid-battle like it did previously, unlike the next curse on our list. Following the trend of curses of nature, Dagon represents the cursed spirit of the sea. The curse of those who have died from natural disasters at the ocean, subtle fears of the ocean in general, and monstrous horrors that lie beneath gave birth to the cursed womb we now know as Dagon. For most of its appearance in the series, Dagon has the form of an adolescent cursed womb, hiding its true power inside the lovable and cute shell that it displays to the outside world. Much like myself. However, despite possibly being less experienced in battle than Hanami, the feats that Dagon presents once it hatches vastly outweigh Hanami's in greatness and wow factor. In his first battle, Dagon is able to severely incapacitate two veteran grade 1 sorcerers, Nanami Kento and Naobito Zenin, even putting up a decent fight against Naobito Zenin's obscure and hard to work against curse technique, projection sorcery, while displaying that same effective durability that Hanami was able to show off prior. What separates Dagon from Hanami is Dagon's immediate grasp for combat strategy and ability to use his cursed abilities to his advantage without much understanding of his opponent's abilities. Being the cursed spirit of the sea, Dagon represents mastery of water, and much like Hanami is able to create this water on a moment's notice and massive amounts of it. The sheer amount of it is enough for Maki to even mention how impressive it is, claiming it's leagues past Megami's max elephant flood technique. Dagon is able to use this water for offense and defense. And the benefit of water really being, you can really shape it or use it in lieu for anything. This only adds to Dagon's extensive durability, which is shown to extend even past his main body, almost able to shed his skin from what it looks like, and being able to maintain his core of solid individuality inside of the outside shell. This is what allows Dagon to activate domain expansion, despite Naobito doing his absolute best to keep Dagon from executing this feat specifically. Dagon's domain expansion, Horizon of the Captivating Skanda, has been shown to us multiple times throughout the series. While the environment of this domain may be a peaceful vacation for its inhabitants, it is the one-hit kill factor of the domain that makes it an absolute terror to encounter in the fray. Inside Dagon's domain, he has access to an endless amount of fish and sea serpent shikigami that are meant to represent the endless source of life that exists within the ocean. As the ocean seems endlessly deep and full of infinite mysteries, that fear and terror is accurately captured in Dagon's one-hit kill technique, Death Swarm. The most difficult aspect of this technique being the fact that the shikigami that attack you are not visible until they make contact, meaning you won't know what's coming at you until it already has. This means it only takes a matter of seconds to be overwhelmed and surrounded entirely, and even if you were able to put up a fight, the term endless swarm of shikigami is not just a jest. Dagon is dead serious. All of this is only made to seem further impossible when you account for the fact that Dagon has absolute free reign inside the domain the entire time, able to land physical attacks and show off his extreme speed to land secondary attacks if an endless swarm of gigantic sea creatures heat-seeking you with razor claws and teeth wasn't really enough. Putting all of it together, Dagon is a powerful curse that lives up to the unforgiving nature of the sea. Something that can be blood-curdlingly terrifying and induce horror and wrath the likes humankind has never seen, while at the same time being a nice time to share with the kids or perfect for rest and relaxation when it's time for calm and peace. Dagon in his first fight was able to incapacitate 2 high-level grade 1 sorcerers and back the other 2 semi-grade 1 sorcerers into corners, even with one of the latter messing with Dagon's one-hit kill technique with a domain tug of war. Only truly brought down to his knees by Toji when he unluckily wanders into the battle through the hole Megumi attempts to create for the gang to escape. For only having a couple short chapters to show what he was made of, Dagon leaves an awesome first and final impression in one solid battle between a lot of heavy hitters in the series. The gang's only option of winning before Toji showed up was escaping Dagon's domain and praying to God that he wasn't able to cast a second one to leave room for vulnerability. The one true only reason he comes in behind the other 2 curses on this list is just because of how insanely powerful the other 2 members of the Disaster Curse family are. In order to determine who gets the number 1 and 2 spot in this ranking video, the only way we can accurately come to a conclusion between both of these powerful entities is to put them up against each other as if they were to go head to head and come to a conclusion as to who would come out on top. The curse born from the wrath the planet can afflict, or the curse born from the hatred humans bear in their heart. Probably most of your choices for the number 1 spot is the curse born from the fear and loathing all human beings hold for one another, Mahito. A curse unlike any other born before him, Mahito represents the pinnacle of the existence of curses. The youngest out of the Disaster Curse family, Mahito is constantly evolving in power and aura throughout the repeated acts of deceit and terror Mahito inflicts upon the world. What makes Mahito so special compared to the other curses is his vast knowledge of the soul, and the way his curse technique, Idol Transfiguration, uses the soul in order to distort and manipulate his opponents in obscene and terrifying ways. Because Mahito is aware of the separation between the soul and body, Mahito is also able to change the shape of his own form, using his body as more of an exterior shell that can be manipulated and changed to better fit his needs in battle. Mahito's primary core maintains and stays solid inside the interior of the shell, able to shift throughout the exterior vessel as needed. And so we're faced with Jogo's biggest problem when it comes to fighting Mahito. It is nigh impossible to damage him completely without being able to harm his soul. Throughout every battle that this monster has, it's shown very clearly that most opponents, despite putting their life on the line and using every attack they have available, all attempts are made utterly fruitless when it comes to damaging Mahito. Mahito has lost limbs, been completely crushed, blown into pieces, and more. The average curse spirit has high speed regeneration, but this is nothing compared to the versatile nature of Mahito. When previous discussions were all about durability, Mahito isn't exactly durable. A better term would be flexible, and all these problems come from just Idol Transfiguration alone. Unlike the inexperienced curses on this list before him, Mahito displays a great knack for combat, able to put up a much more capable fight against powerhouses like Yuji and Todo than Hanami ever could. Even from just a couple minutes of fighting with Todo, Mahito is able to begin adapting to Boogie Woogie and compensating for the position switching, as well as adequately keeping up with a combat prodigy like Yuji blow for blow in hand-to-hand close quarters. Mahito is also able to improvise complex techniques on the fly, able to take ideas and branch them off of his primary curse technique in order to match any battle scenario that he may get tossed into. These abilities range from Soul Multiplicity Body Repel or Polymorphic Soul Isomer, 2 techniques that are just pure displays of this versatility and quick thinking, only adding to the destructive power Mahito is able to bring to the table. Take all of these feats and mold them together to create the perfect curse. The curse entrusted by the other disaster curses to bring about the Age of Curses all on his own. The mirror of humanity that shows them the thing they fear the most, the innermost death and all of the different ways humans can hurt each other. And now we move on to one of the most underestimated curses in the entire series, the disaster curse of the land, Jogo. I suspect the main reason for Jogo constantly being underestimated is because every single 1v1 fight this man gets in, he gets bodied. However, this by no means makes Jogo weak, despite what Gojo may say. In fact, by scales of curse spirits, he's probably the strongest curse spirit to be born in this time period, besides Mahito, of course. Obviously the oldest and most experienced out of the Disaster Curse family, this is clearly shown in how adept Jogo is in combat and how direct he is in achieving his goals. Being the curse spirit of the land, Jogo is born out of despair and terror for destruction for the elements. terrible volcanic disasters, earthquakes, and the sword. This translates into his volcano-like appearance, as well as his fire and lava curse techniques. Despite Jogo racking up the most L's out of all the people in this video, you have to read between the lines of the series to make an accurate case for his level of power, and believe me, I'm not making this big deal about the top 2 for no reason. As for power scaling, out of all the curses on this list, when it comes to raw strength, speed, and combat prowess, Jogo outranks everybody. Able to outspeed most opponents, Jogo is able to deal fatal fire attacks to Nanami, Maki, and Naobito Zenin in quick succession in mere seconds. That huge battle with Dagon that I just spent about 5 to 7 minutes explaining to you, yeah. Jogo literally managed to eliminate more than half of that opposing gang before any of them can even finish a sentence. Naobito even has projection sorcery, amplifying his speed, and as well as already being noted as the fastest sorcerer behind Satoru Gojo, Jogo was able to make quick work of the veteran grade 1 sorcerer without leaving any time for there to even be a second thought. While this is also a major case of evidence for Jogo's speed, it also doubles as a case for Jogo's power. When it comes to raw power, Jogo again remains unopposed. The massive force of his volcanic eruptions that he can make pop up anywhere in a matter of seconds are enough to immolate any sorcerer unable to react fast enough. Shown to completely disfigure Nanami and Maki, the both of which only narrowly escaping death due to Jogo's carelessness, and/or both of these characters harnessing pure goat energy. Jogo is able to wield flames just like the other disaster curses are able to wield their respective element, so one can assume his area of effect only makes him a bigger threat. Able to incinerate an entire restaurant of people, picking off the people one by one with pure precision, showing full control over his element. These are only a couple of the abilities we've seen Jogo be capable of using. He is also one of the only cursed spirits seen so far to achieve the technique of maximum, stated by Kenjaku to be some of the strongest abilities in Jujutsu sorcery. Jogo is an unstoppable powerhouse that was bred for the conquest on the human race. Fast, powerful, but most of all, he's smart, able to fight using strategy and learn from his mistakes to build on weaknesses he may have had previously. Why then does everyone underestimate Jogo? Well, Jogo gets very unlucky when it comes to opponents. His introductory fight is up against Gojo, and in order to start making the defense, up until this point, the disaster curses had absolutely no idea what they were up against. While Kenjaku did attempt to warn Jogo about Gojo's strength, you have to imagine that for a cursed spirit at the level of power that Jogo is at, it's impossible to imagine a sorcerer that would be able to stand up to him. I have to remind everyone that Jogo ran through 3 grade 1/semi-grade 1 sorcerers in a matter of 60 seconds. It's not like Jogo was cocky. I would define that as confidence. He has the power to back up his claim, and without any knowledge of Gojo's overpowered curse technique, Jogo genuinely couldn't have imagined how much of a disadvantage he would have been put into. Also, with how rare domain expansions are amongst sorcerers, it's not a stretch to say Jogo was also justified in believing Gojo was screwed once he was inside the sure-hit domain. Exhibit A. Any curse in the series so far besides Sukuna and Maharaga get absolutely bodied by Gojo. It's not fair to classify Jogo as a weak curse due to this loss, because if I told you to go fight Gojo right now, odds are you're gonna tell me to f right off. But now that that idea is in your mind, realize that this man Jogo does go up against Gojo a second time. This time he did bring the crew, but you have to imagine the courage this takes to look death in the face and say, "Not today." So who does Jogo pick to be his next 1v1 opponent? 15-finger Sukuna. And I have to say, honestly, that this is part of the reason why the #1 spot got called into contention for me, because you have to admit, compared to any other curse on this list, would any of them have fought as well against Sukuna as Jogo did? I don't think so at all. Despite getting absolutely manhandled by Sukuna through the entire battle, Jogo is able to survive multiple death-dealing blows from Sukuna, as well as keep up in speed with him once Jogo is able to break free and summon up some attacks. While awaiting for maximum meter to drop on the earth, when appearing between the slight squabble between Kusakabe, Panda, and the curse users, the humans are paralyzed with fear at first at the presence of Sukuna, who is able to command them all not to move, dominating any person in that immediate area. And then you have Jogo, willing to give it his all and actually go toe-to-toe with Sukuna, despite the obvious power gap. Don't get the wrong idea that I'm mistaking Jogo's confidence and tenacity for strength. But if you're not going to take it from me, take it from Sukuna. Jogo is generally the closest thing to a real fight Sukuna has had in centuries. Despite constantly being shown as the underdog, Jogo is effectively one of the strongest modern special grade that has emerged in the current time period of the series. The dynamics of this hypothetical all rest on one of the oldest questions asked by man. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Jogo, despite clearly outmatching Mahito in raw power output, speed, and combat experience, holds no extensive knowledge over the soul or anything of the sort. No matter how much obliteration Jogo can deal out, Mahito's one major advantage is represented in his ability to survive most, if not all, attacks that do not break down to the source. Despite Mahito's soul remaining safe from obvious danger, what creates a problem for Mahito is with his ability's direct need for his palm to make contact with the opponent, he holds no surefire way of achieving that contact. With Jogo's enormous area of effect with his fire techniques and his ability to move beyond the definition of quick, this makes it by no means easy for Mahito to effectively get in close. Despite all of the various reaches that Idle Transfiguration affords Mahito, even if Jogo wasn't able to speed around an area, the destructive force of his volcanic eruptions and flame manipulation make it impossible for Mahito to get in range unscathed. No matter how tenacious Mahito's soul may be, if he cannot maintain the shape of his body around his soul, he is powerless. This creates somewhat of a loop, where no matter how many times Mahito is able to regenerate or change his shape, he would be unable to escape Jogo's flames. The flames would be capable of keeping Mahito at bay, even doing effective damage to Mahito's body if he's backed into a corner, which, being at a massive disadvantage, is most likely how this battle would go. Imagine a situation like Colonel Mustang and Envy in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. If we were to take instant spirit body of distorted killing into the equation with the amplified speed and durability it gives Mahito, I guess you could make an argument that Mahito may be able to keep up with Jogo's speed. However, a battle between Mahito and Jogo would never devolve into a close quarters battle. The reason for this lies completely in Jogo's superior battle strategy and his ability to figure out what the best course of action is in a fight. At the end of the day, Jogo is surrounded by such a level of obscene oblivion-inducing power and advantage. Even at full power and with all of his techniques at his disposal, Mahito is unable to break Jogo's defense without being reduced to ash. Mahito would be repeatedly incinerated, only to reform just in time to be caught in the inferno again. And as we know from the very first fight between Mahito, Yuji, and Hanami, despite Mahito being unable to be effectively damaged without knowledge of the soul, he can, like other curses, be worn out of cursed energy. After expending all of his energy, Mahito remains vulnerable in the sense that he becomes unable to protect his soul with the exterior body, and will eventually be exorcised, not because of the physical damage, but as a mere matter of attrition and exhaustion. Jogo wouldn't need knowledge of the soul. He need only continue burning Mahito until he is beyond repair and unable to regenerate. When Mahito's primary core is unable to be protected, knowledge of the soul makes no difference. Even if we were to take domain expansions into account, it would be unwise for Mahito to do so, as his inexperience would fail him here as well, losing in a battle of domains due to his younger, newly found domain, compared to Jogo's much more defined, much more seasoned domain. Without any way to defend himself or any possible way to land an attack on Jogo, it is only a matter of time before Mahito gets put down and is unable to fight back. Jogo needs to only keep up the heat and fan the flames until Mahito is completely burned away and nothing remains. Mahito has no real way to defend his soul from that. And here are the final results of the ranking. Now, I know there's probably thousands of you guys right now that are seething mad at me because I didn't pick your favorite patch-faced antagonist, D. Greyman, for the #1 spot. Anyway, thank you guys so much if you made it all the way to the end here. I really appreciate each and every one of you for watching my video and supporting me. Please, if you like the content, leave a like, subscribe, tell me why I'm wrong and why Finger Bearer Curse is able to defeat every single one of these guys or something. Who knows? Either way, I really appreciate you guys watching. Check out my Twitter, check out the subreddit for the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.